Shabbat Shalom and welcome to B'nai Yeshua Synagogue, home of the Miami Beach Israel Revival. It's wonderful to have you with us today in today's very important service. We're going to start today's service with worship and dancing and singing unto Yahweh Elohim and Yeshua our King. Afterwards, we're going to go right into the word of Yahweh, honoring the Father Yahweh in his true name and his Son Yeshua our King. Get ready to experience a move of the Ruach HaKodesh right here in Miami Beach, in the Miami Beach Israel Revival. And again, I want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts to all our YATA Video Club members for subscribing to this teaching series. We pray and we hope that it'll bless you, edify you, and raise you up in the things of Yahweh as Yahweh's word is sent forth from Miami Beach to the four corners of the globe. Shalom in Yahshua's name. Now let's go right into this afternoon service. Steps, Revelation 19:7. Let us be glad and rejoice and give him praise, for the marriage of the Lamb has come, and his wife has prepared herself. Part 2, preaching for a few hours. Preparation steps. Preparation steps. We learned last week that there were how many parts to a Hebraic wedding? 4 parts. The first part of the Hebraic wedding is the Shedukin, which is the prearranged wedding. Part 2 is the Erusin, or the betrothal. And we're going to go today from the betrothal into part 3, known as the wedding or the Nisuyin. Israel, as they are today, is not married to Yahweh. Rather, we are in a period of betrothal or a period of engagement where we were engaged on Har Sinai, and we have not officially renewed our vows with Yahweh in the wedding ceremony, or part 3 of the Hebraic wedding. And in order to prepare yourself for the return of Yeshua, you have to know the 4 stages of the Hebraic wedding. You cannot prepare for Yeshua like the church says, well, we're ready. Well, they can't be ready if they have no concept of the 4 stages of the Hebraic wedding. Is anyone with me?
Yes.
Baruch Hashem Yahweh. And just so you'll understand my hesitancy in putting intermissions, it's going to take a certain amount of maturity on people's parts to be in here on time. Okay? There's always a danger in doing things new, but I got to trust Yahweh that he has given us this time of intermission. So, let us focus in on Eruzin. We said that the Hebraic wedding enters a period of betrothal, where the betrothal is, listen, where the husband and the prospective wife, the bride and the bridegroom, meet each other for the very first time under the chuppah. That's the very first time they even see each other. And remember, we learned last week that courting and dating is not the way Yahweh chose you. Yahweh didn't choose you through courting and dating. He didn't check you out, because if he had checked you out, you probably would have been rejected.
Yeah.
And so, because Yahweh didn't court us or date us, he chose us. Yeshua said, you have not chosen me, but I have chosen you. Therefore, we met Yeshua for the first time under his Shekhinah, under the glory, under the canopy, under his kavod. And the first time we met Yeshua is the very day of salvation. It's the very day we got saved. We met Yeshua, and then we grew in Yeshua, and we walked with Yeshua, and we increased in knowledge, wisdom, and in stature with Yeshua. So in order to prepare the bride of Yeshua, in order to be prepared for the coming of Yeshua, must go through, at least mentally or spiritually, the 4 stages of the Hebraic wedding. The 4 stages of the Hebraic wedding. And so the first time we met Yeshua was the first time we were under the canopy. We were under the chuppah. Now, as we mentioned, we learned last week that under the chuppah, we received the conditions of the marriage. What are the conditions? The ketuvah. What is our ketuvah as Yisrael? Our ketuvah as Yisrael is the Chamisha Chumshei Torah, or the 5 books of Moshe, our teacher. Amen. So in this time between the first entry into the chuppah during the Erusin, where are we now as the people of Israel in our relationship with Moshiach Yeshua? Where are we right now? We are in that period where we are walking with him. He is walking with us. We walk by faith, not by sight. We met him at the point of salvation. We haven't seen him in our walk. We walk by faith and not by sight. Are you with me?
Amen.
Now we're waiting for the next time we get to meet him, which is the time of the wedding. Okay, so we are not, so the church thinks, historic Christianity thinks they're the bride, because they think that Yeshua married them through the blood. Of course, he didn't marry them. He betrothed them. He betrothed them. They didn't date or court. He chose them. And now he's giving them time to get ready for the real McCoy. Turn to your neighbor and say, the real McCoy. He's giving them time to get ready for the real McCoy. And this is a time when the bride has checked out the ketuvah. The bridegroom has checked out the ketuvah. The bride has said on Har Sinai, on Mount Sinai, Na'aseh v'nishma. We will do and we will hear, even though sometimes we say we do, but we don't do. And so in the Eruzin, we say we will hear Na'aseh, we will do v'nishma, and we will listen. And then through the last 3,500 years, sometimes we do more listening than doing. Sometimes we don't do any listening or doing. Which is why Yahweh doesn't take us to be his bride, because we have to make ourselves ready. Most believers, historic Christianity, will never be ready, because they believe they're in a marriage that they're not in. That's pretty bad news, to be in a position where you think you're married and you're not. In the world, that's called lunacy. All right? You think you're married and you're not. And so because you think you're married, it's like the familiar spirits, that's it. What happens, why does the love grow cold between a husband and a wife? Because among many factors is the familiar spirit. What is a familiar spirit? Meaning, oh, they're not naked, that's just my wife. Or they're not special, that intimacy is not special, that's just my wife. A familiar spirit comes in, or a husband, that's not a man, that's my husband. Come on, ladies, smile. So, you see, we got this familiar spirits and all the Satan, the world, the flesh, and the devil. Gets our hearts and our minds away from our spouses. And in order to have a blissful relationship, the bride must keep herself pure and must keep herself ready. Or else she's not going to become the bride. Meaning, most professors are not possessors. Most people who profess to be the bride are not the bride, because according to Revelation 19:7, the bride knows, understands, is cognizant of the fact that she must make herself ready to be the bride. So the historic Christianity cannot be the bride, because they don't think they got to get ready. Yet Revelation 19:7 says the bride made herself ready. Well, if we make ourselves ready, that means we've got to do something, we've got to act out something, we've got to perform something to make ourselves ready. Turn to your neighbor and say, get ready.
Get ready. Get ready. Get ready. Get ready.
Turn to your neighbor and say, we've got to get ready.
We've got to get ready.
So, we enter into the Eruzin. When is the first time we meet our bridegroom as Yisroel? Under the chuppah. What do we get under the chuppah? We get a cup of wine if we accept the contract, the legal contract. They get ketuvah if we accept the terms and conditions. We get to drink the cup. Yeshua said, drink the cup, drink all of it at the memorial supper, not the Passover Seder. He couldn't be the Passover and celebrate the Passover. If he died that day, his Talmidim ate the Passover all alone. He couldn't be the Passover. So what Messianic Judaism says, well, this is what Yeshua did the night he was betrayed, that is baloney. He was the Passover, meaning his Talmidim ate the Seder without their master. Are you with me?
That's right.
Because he had to die between Ben Ha'arbayim, between the evenings. He had to die Ben Ha'arbayim, between 3 and 5 p.m. That night, the Talmidim sat at the table that was prepared by the master, but someone was missing. Someone was not coming to dinner.
That's right.
Turn to your neighbor and say, someone was not coming to dinner. And that was Yeshua. And so now we are in this preparation stage. People say, why is Yeshua, why has Yeshua not returned? Why has Yeshua tarried? Well, one of the reasons Yeshua has tarried is so that the bride of Yeshua can properly get it right, get together, prepare herself, get rid of the ungodly friends, get rid of the ungodly relationships, wash that man out of your hair, wash that woman out of your hair, get right with Yahweh, get right with your friends, get right with your parents in some way. In other words, you've got time to make things right. You've got time to prepare yourself as a wife who is eventually prepared for her husband. Some of you ladies that are not married, that's one of the reasons you're not married. Yahweh is giving you time to become a Torah-observant a woman who walks, who has the blood of Yeshua and walks in Yahweh's Torah, mitzvot, chukim, and mishpatim, and then when the right man comes, you'll be the right woman because you have spent all this time being the right woman. Okay, and so that's why dating services and matchmaking services make so much money and are doing so well. And computer matchmaking. Why? Because they're playing the role of Abba Yahweh. Fix my picture. I'm getting tired. I'm either going to get rid of that picture or I got to do something.
Daddy has to put nails
in the
stationery.
Sometimes.
Or Vipro.
I got some nails about that.
Right there. Okay, Ted. Thank you. That's better. Thank you, Ruben. Okay, now, so we got to spend this time becoming the right one. Amen? And so why are these internet dating services so successful? Why is the Jewish dating agencies, what is the most attended event at the synagogue, at traditional synagogues? Singles night. Jewish singles, okay, or Christian cruises. Okay, how do Christians meet each other? Well, they go on a Christian cruise. So in other words, the cruise is playing the place of Abba Yahweh. If we did things according to Abba Yahweh, he would do the Shedukim, he'd pick our bride, he'd pick our husband, we wouldn't get divorced. The first year, the Torah says you are not allowed to go to work. So if you're not allowed to go to work, so what do? You spend time with your newlywed. What a mean Yahweh. What a mean Yahweh. Now in historic Christianity, we were told that once we're married, you work, he works, she works, the pet works, the rock works, the pet rock works, everybody works. And you've got to buy a house and have two-car garage and have 2 dogs and 2 chihuahuas because after all, you've got to keep up with the Smiths. And after all, that's the American dream. And so in pursuit of the American dream, we have young couples who don't have a spit nickel to spit on, going out there, buying $400,000 homes, paying $15,000 a month in insurance, because they knew better than their father and mother. Yahweh said, your father and your mother, if they're tzaddiks, walking in the derech, Yeshua, walking in the chukim, walking in the mishpatim, let your mom and dad choose your husband or your wife, because not only will they be bonded with you, they'll be bonded with your spouse, they'll have input into your marriage, you're following the pattern that Yahweh set for your life, and then your parents are not going to throw you out of the house because you're following their advice, you're honoring your mother and your father, that your days may be lengthened upon the earth, and Papa and Mama are going, instead of throwing you out and having all this financial pressure and having your marriage dissolve because of financial pressure, you'll be living in the Father's house with your bridegroom, and you'll be able to fulfill Torah. What does Torah say? Don't work for the first year. Did you know that? Did you know that a newlywed bridegroom was not allowed to go out to battle for 1 year? Did you know that? You know why? Because Yahweh wanted him spending time to get to know his bride. So instead of, sweetheart, do you have a headache tonight? It's 1 year of intimacy and bliss and hot and heavy physical contact. And so now these historic Christianity who told us there's no grace in the Torah. In other words, we follow historic Christianity, which is man's pattern. We date and we court, we check out each other's flesh. We claim we're walking in the Ruach, but we're not. Your flesh is my flesh. Everybody's flesh is checking each other out. Is anyone with me? Is anyone angry yet? And then finally, the pastor marries them not under a chuppah, but in front of La Cruz de Jesus.
That's right.
And then about 2 weeks later, the pastor gets a call. He says, "This is a nightmare. It's not working out. He won't work. She won't get off her duff. She won't cook. And there's no activity in the room that beds."
Come on.
Well, pastor, who told you to marry these people? You weren't following the pattern. Did you send them to the mom and the dad? No. Why not? Because they don't follow Torah. That's right, and neither do you. So what business did you have marrying them? But the pastor gets the call to save the marriage. Problem is, the pastor is also living in unhappiness because he and his wife also had the pressure of being married and not following Torah. Is any of this making sense?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yahweh says, look, you don't need to work. You don't need to have 2 cars. You don't need to have your own home in the suburbs. Live in your father's house for a year, and then all I want you to do for the first year is spend time with your bride and spend time with your bridegroom. What a mean Yahweh. What a legalistic Torah. Man, we don't want that Jewish Torah legalism stuff, man. We want church grace, man. We want financial pressure, mortgages, car payments, agita, nightmares, pressure. We don't want to follow that Jewish legalism. What they didn't tell you is when you follow the Torah, you get a year off. What a mean Yahweh. I wish somebody would have given me a year in my first year of marriage. Instead, I had to go be a substitute teacher for $90 a day. And people used to get to throw airplanes and spitballs at me for $89.99 a day. Mr. K, he did this, she did this. I said, look, you want to know how I taught in the public schools? Because I knew I wouldn't taught these bozos anything and they couldn't learn anything. I mean, Marsha might have a gift for it, but I sure didn't. So you know what I did? I said, look, I'll make you a deal. I'm a nice Jewish businessman. So I said, you sit quiet for the first half. Don't get out of your seats. And the second half, I give you free time. Deal? No yelling, no screaming, no cursing, no feet up on the desk. Sit still for half. The second half, you're off. I was the best teacher in the school. I didn't do any work. I didn't do any homework. Nobody learned anything. But I maintained order. I was the local substitute warden. Turn to your neighbor and say he was a substitute warden. So, the way religion has portrayed marriage is, listen, for the groom to be out there building a house for the bride. What's the father's first question? The bride's father. Where is my daughter going to live?
Yeah.
Have you bought a home? Have you gotten a mortgage? Have you made any plans? So the groom's got to go out and or he might be so desperate he might contact Habitat Humanity and start building his own home. Yahweh says if you do Torah, bozo, you'll be home living it easy, getting to know your wife getting to know you. You don't have to work or look for a house. Are you with me?